Hey everybody, I'm Tommy and you are on the boat. What's happening, peoples? All right, for some of you, you may not know who Darrell Brooks is. For the true crime aficionados, you absolutely know who Darrell Brooks is. But for those that do not, I will bring you up to speed because that's how I roll. Darrell Brooks was a gentleman, and I use that term very loosely, who was convicted in 2022 of driving an SUV into the Waukesha Christmas parade. He did it in 2021. He killed 6 people, injured dozens, and is currently serving 6 life sentences plus about 916 years. Then he got another 9 years. But anyway, we'll go through a little bit of his early life and criminal history. 1982 to 94, Brooks grows up in Milwaukee without a father figure, but with a supportive mother. At age 12, he's diagnosed with bipolar disorder after a psychiatric hospitalization. 1999, as a high school junior, he's charged with his first felony, which is, I'm sure, made his family proud. It was substantial bodily harm in a battery. He's sentenced to 2 years in jail, 3 years of probation, and 6 months at the Milwaukee County Community after pleading guilty to another battery charge. Charged with a low-level offense in 2023 with marijuana possession, misdemeanor obstructions, no big deal. In 2005, he faces criminal charges in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. He's convicted of in 2006, and this is where it starts getting ugly. Chase the Heat, the Johnny Scoville. Hey, Johnny Scoville, good to have you here. Nice to have you always, Johnny. Sandy Wandy, Kristen Melinda, good to see you. Whitby Island girl, glad you're here. Brock Bandy, what's up? Edward, how you been? 2006, he's convicted of felony statutory sexual seduction in Sparks, Nevada. After impregnating a 15-year-old girl, he pleads not guilty in March of 2007 and is sentenced to 12 to 36 months at the Northern Nevada Correctional Center, or NNCC as the fellows call it. Prisneyland is what it's also called. And he's released in September of 2008. I was in that facility at the same time he was. I was released in December of 2008. So I was actually in there at the same time he was. Never saw him, didn't know him. We never ran into each other, or if I saw him, I didn't know who he was. It didn't mean anything to me because he wasn't famous yet. But we were in there at the same time, about 1,400 people on that yard. So more than likely I ran into him at some point. In 2016, a warrant is issued in Sparks, Nevada for another statutory sex crime. It remains outstanding at the time of the 2001 attack. By 2020, he is registered for life as a sex offender in Wisconsin. But on July 24th, 2020, he's charged with second-degree reckless endangerment and a felon in possession of a firearm. If they kept his ass in for this, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. He's held on $10,000 bail, but the trial is delayed. And because they released him on a $500 bond. In May of 2021, he's arrested in Union City, Georgia for domestic violence involving his ex-girlfriend. He receives a signature bond but fails to appear in court. There's a shocker. On November 2nd, 2021, Brooks punches his ex-girlfriend and runs her over with his vehicle in a Milwaukee gas station parking lot, leaving tire marks on her leg. He's charged with second-degree recklessly endangering safety, a felony, and disorderly conduct, both with domestic abuse assessments. He posts $1,000 bail. Are you shitting me? How about a run of this guy, right? How many times did they have an opportunity? Miss Weedy Poo, good to see you. Caroline in Canada, what's happening? They had so many chances to keep this guy from getting out and doing what he did. Carrie Cushman, yeah, what a low life is right? Tell me that doesn't sum it up. Great comment. This guy is a low life. And they could have stopped him so many times, right? November 21st through the 23rd, initial reports confirmed 5 fatalities. A 6th at $5 million during his initial court appearance. Additional felony charges for intimidating a witness and a victim related to jail phone calls threatening his ex-girlfriend. 77 more charges were filed in January of 2022, but he gets convicted, and this is where the fun starts. So there's the history, right? Now let's get to the fun. When you get sentenced to life in prison, people think to yourself, yeah, exactly. You rob a bank and you can't get out on bond. That's me. I was never allowed out by the feds once, but this guy got out constantly. $500, felon in possession of a firearm. I did 8.5 years for felon in possession of a firearm. They sure as hell didn't give me any opportunity at bail. By the way, when that happened, I owned a home in the town that I lived in. My wife was an officer of the court. My sister and my older sister both lived in the city that I lived in, as did my parents. I had more ties to the community than you could possibly imagine. No shot for me. Nothing wrong with lurking while working. I love it. Jeannie Hansen, hope you're feeling better. Glad you're here. Hey, Erica. Your brother spent time in Leavenworth, very famous federal institution. People say really great things about Leavenworth. Believe it or not, it's supposed to be a very nice place. They got bikes on the yard because it's such a big yard. They have bikes you can ride from one place to another on. I always found that fascinating, but I never did any time there. So Darrell Brooks gets sentenced to life in prison, and he gets moved around a couple of times in Wisconsin. Once because when you first get brought in, you go to an intake unit. And from Mass, good to see you. Hey, Patty King. And then all of a sudden, how did he get off so easily? Well, it depends on who you ask. And I'll be really honest, and it's not going to be popular. And guess what? I don't care. Black people were treated really, really badly for a very long time in the criminal justice system in the United States. Horrifically. They were just abused. You had about a 10 times better a chance of getting put in prison if you were black than white. And there was a backlash. And it got to a point. The day I was sentenced to 8 years in prison for felon in possession of a firearm, first time I had ever had that. There was a guy in court the same day as me. It was his third felon in possession of a firearm charge. He was given 2.5 years. I was given 8. And when I said afterwards, what the hell happened? The guy said, wrong complexion at the moment. White guys started getting treated a lot worse. And every judge didn't want to look racist. And they started giving a lot of breaks to people who had darker skin. And that's probably a good thing. Unfortunately, it does lead to shit like this. But he starts to file his appeal. He represented himself in court. And if you ever watched that trial, it was an abortion of a trial like nothing you've ever seen. He screwed up every way you could. He was in there saying, you can't call me Darrell Brooks. And if anybody, put a 2 in the chat if you know why he said they can't call me Darrell Brooks. Hold on. Ralph Listy, hang in there, my brother. I've noticed being disabled will get you a blues to psychologically as well as physically, but I'm living with the scars. Hang in there. Well, I spent time in prison for bank robbery as well, but I did not use a gun, and that pays a very, very big difference in the sentence. The pendulum effect. Absolutely. I call it the bowstring. You pull a string on a bow and you let go. It doesn't go to where you pulled it from. It goes way back in the other direction. But the pendulum is absolutely, it's probably a better illustration, to be honest. The reason that he wasn't allowing them to call him Darrell Brooks is because he's a sovereign citizen, right? This is a guy that doesn't feel that the laws of the United States apply to him. Didn't work very well in, he just said he had a gun in the note. That's all it takes. You have to just, I never, ever claimed to have a weapon. Well, you know, I'm working on it. I promise. I'm working on it. I got a girl that helps with that. His trial was a trip, says Lisa Trimble, and she's right. He defended himself poorly. Lots of tantrums. The judge bent over backwards for him, so there wouldn't be anything to appeal. Amazing judge. You know what? This is a hell of a comment. Lisa Trimble obviously watched this case because there were people at the time that were beating on the judge and saying, why is she letting him get away with this? Why does she keep giving him chance after chance? Why does she keep doing this? Lisa nailed it. She did what she did because he has zero chance for an appeal. However, it gets even better. He filed not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. I won't keep going. Extensions for his appeal because he couldn't get the paperwork in because he's representing himself. He doesn't have an attorney. He's got to do this shit on his own. Are you ready? How about 11 extensions he filed? And then they up and move him out of the state, right? No joke. They move him out of the state of Wisconsin. Why, you ask? They did an interstate commerce pact to move him to another prison. And the answer is pretty simple. where he was, they wanted him dead. The fellas don't want to put up with this. He ran over children. He ran over 80-year-old people. He killed senior citizens. He killed children. He killed women. He just indiscriminately took a vehicle, which, by the way, this is worth talking about, right? He took a vehicle, turned it into a weapon. A vehicle is just as dangerous as a gun, and if you treat it the same way, you will be treated just as if you had a gun in your hand. He ran past two different crowd restraints, where they put up like sawhorses that say parade. He blew through two of those and then just started running over people in the parade. There were 80-year-olds who were part of a singing group, right? Just senior citizens that get together, have a good time, Christmas caroling and things like that. Killed one of those. Young boy, right? 8-year-old who was out caroling with friends, ran over him. Everybody out there with him was part of his little league team. This guy's a scumbag. And the people in prison were going to kill him, plain and simple. They could not wait to get at him. Now, he's doing a 23-in-1 program. That means that you're in a lockdown unit. He doesn't have a cellmate, and he's locked down 23 hours a day. He can get out 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. And in that 1 hour, you get to go outside to what we used to call the dog kennels. It's literally the same size as your cell, which is about 6 or 7 feet wide and about 9 to 10 feet long. Only this one is a cage so you can look straight up and see the sky. But that's the only time he gets at acting even remotely human. He's never going to feel grass under his feet. He's never going to feel rain on his face. He's never going to feel anything that makes you feel like you're free in any way. Yeah, well, it didn't work out very well for her either, did it? Now, on the bright side, no one's going to like this, but on the bright side, she didn't manage to run over 6 people and kill them. Somebody stopped her before that happened. But when you start pointing a vehicle at somebody like a weapon, the guy that she hit did end up in the hospital, which is a bummer. 2 sovereign citizens. Yeah, you know what? The sovereign citizen thing, it's just funny. I'm sorry, but it is. It's never worked, right? It's like saying to somebody, here, check this out. I got a pistol, right? It's a revolver. It's got 6 shells in it. Check it out. This won't get me. Blow your head off. The next guy picks it up, does the same thing. After about the 5th one, you'd go, hey, this doesn't work, right? There's never been a sovereign citizen that had a case, go to trial, and work for him. But these idiots keep coming out of the woodwork. But they moved him to South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He did it purposely. He would have had to, Patty King. Now, he said that he was suffering from mental illness, blah, blah, blah. But afterwards, he ran and he hid, right? This shows post-meditation, which can be just as big a thing as premeditation. Twyla, how are you? Hi, everyone. Yes, Jennifer Darrow was masterful at not stepping on his rights and not playing his game. So much respect for her, and she did it while pregnant. You got to tip your hat to pimpin', for real. She did all of that trash while pregnant, and he mean mugged her and, growled at her and did all of this stuff, and she was just like, blah, blah, blah. Stuck him into another courtroom, and he would start going, and cursing, veins coming out. She just hit the mute button. Let him scream himself out. Renee B., good to see you. Let him just scream himself until he couldn't move anymore. She handled it masterfully, and he would not have had any chance for an appeal. However, he didn't get the paperwork in on time. This is where this gets important. This is where the Schadenfreude thing comes in. This is an evil son of a bitch. And Jennifer Darrow said that. She said, you have that evil spirit about you that just wants to hurt and kill. That's what she said, right? She didn't pull any punches. He didn't get his appeal in on time. Even if you're doing 6 life sentences plus 900 years plus 9 more, you're never getting out of prison. No matter what freaking happens, you're never getting out of prison. But if you got that appeal, if you got that one hope, right, then you have the ability to hold on to the fact that maybe, just maybe, and I've met a bunch of people who have life sentences, and they always have hope that there is something that is going to happen that is going to give them that opportunity to be free. He was born in 1982, Carrie Cushman. He was born in 1982, to answer your question. But he's going to die in prison. Now he has no hope. Do you understand? No hope whatsoever. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate the support. These super chats mean the world to me because I am getting demonetized on damn near every video. I lost the one that I did the other night on Epstein, and I don't know what the hell I did in that one. I mean, I did say child molester a bunch, but it wasn't my normal ranting. I'm kind of shocked that one got shut down, and I appealed it, and they gave me the business. I did say your name right, huh? I was getting it right the whole time. It's been your ear, honestly. Like you heard the wrong thing, but I can't back that up. My girl told me how to say it, and you were right. She would be the one to fix it. So this is where this gets fun. This is where the Schadenfreude thing comes in. He claims that the reason that he didn't get the appeal in was because of lockdowns, blah, blah, blah. I spent all of my time in a lockdown unit. He was in a lockdown unit, 23-1. Even if you're locked down, it's no different than if you weren't locked down, right? If you're in a regular unit where you can walk around and do all of those things, right? That's one of those situations where all of a sudden you can't get to the law library or whatever. If you're in a 23-1 unit, being locked down, you wouldn't know the difference. Honestly, the whole place is locked down. Who gives a shit? You're locked down 23 hours a day anyway. They still can take you to the law library, which is just a cell. There aren't any books in it. There's a computer. That dedicated computer can only do one thing. That is access Westlaw and Nexus Lexis, or is it Lexis Nexus? I always screw that up. But it's the legal program. So it's just like having a literal law library at your fingertips, but you do it on a computer screen. And he could have gone to that regardless of lockdown. Blah, blah, blah. The point is, his hope is gone. Now, the only thing left for Darrell Brooks is to spend the rest of eternity, the rest of his life on planet Earth. And, I mean, what's he going to hit? 75, 80? He can't smoke cigarettes. He can't drink hard alcohol. He isn't doing drugs. He's in a lockdown unit alone. This guy ain't getting any dope. Everybody wants to kill him. He is spending the rest of his life looking over his shoulder. He's not going to have a cellmate. He's going to be in solitary confinement. By now, he's probably talking to himself. He's starting to babble and go incoherent. It would be so much more humane to put him to death. I promise you. I used to have a completely different feeling about the death penalty, right? Completely different. Jody, thank you so much. I appreciate the super sticker. Folks, I can't tell you how much this makes a difference. I really can't. It would be so much more humane to put him to death. And I used to think that now, the death penalty, kill these people, kill them. Then I did a lockdown unit. Then I spent 36 to 42 months of my life doing 23-1. And 23-1 is absolutely a kind of hell you can't wrap your brain around. Erica asks, can they make you take psychotic drugs in prison? Psychiatric drugs. Yes, they can, in theory, make you do it. However, they got to get a court order to do it, and they're usually not even going to bother. You don't want to take drugs, they'll just keep putting you in prisons that make you more uncomfortable until you finally tap out and go, fine, I'll take them. But you don't see it very, very often. Lisa Trimble says he babbled during his trial too. Boy, he did. He babbled to himself during the trial too. But right now, he is living in hell. And let me tell you what this hell looks like, since you've probably never been in a 23-1 unit. More than likely, because of the age of the prison, there's a shower in his cell. So he's not leaving his cell to shower. The only time he leaves his cell is to go to rec. I would say there's probably at least a 75% chance that he isn't going to rec, right? Because, Tommy, thank you for refusing to self-censor. It is the only way to show the powers that it shouldn't be. Yeah, you're right. That we want the freedom of speech at the very least. And I'm going to keep doing it. It's funny. Somebody said to me, you pander to your audience because you won't rail about Trump. I was like, find me some evidence on Trump and I'll be happy to out the guy. I'll do show after show on it. I think Trump's a scumbag, but I just am not finding stuff in the Epstein file. And I said, if I was somebody that pandered for views, you think I'd be saying all the stuff I say? I'd be calling it grape. I'd be saying, pictures of kids that you're not supposed to have on your computer. I wouldn't be calling it child porn and all the things that are going to hurt me. But I don't care. It's definitely not who I am. This guy gets woken up every morning at 5 a.m., right? 5 o'clock in the morning. They're popping that food slot and they're sliding a tray into him. He eats that food. He lays back down to try to go to sleep. The second he starts to fall asleep, they're back at the door banging on it to get the tray back. Trust me, I did this for 4 years, right? 3.5 years. Once you hand back that tray, right? You lay back down and you go to sleep. About 9:45, lunch comes. And they put that through the food slot. You eat lunch. By the way, both of those meals more than likely are not hot. Both of those meals more than likely are cold. He will get a hot meal for dinner, and that's it. The one at lunch is a sack lunch, and it's usually just a bologna sandwich. It's not good food. It's really horrendous food. He may or may not work out. Like I said, he's probably not going outside. And the reason he's not is he would be put in a cage alone. And the guys next to him are still going to be in cages. They're going to spit at him. They're going to tell him he's a piece of shit. They're going to tell him they want to kill him. Hey, baby killer, right? By the way, he has not one, but 2 sex cases on his books, which means he's a prize for anybody that can figure out a way to stab him. And it may sound crazy because you think, yeah, but he's in a cage by himself. I saw a guy when I was in Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. There was a guy standing next to some people just talking at a cage, and they lull this guy in, and he's sitting there and he's leaning against the cage. They didn't get him the first day. They didn't get him the second day. Hey, there she is. But when he finally was relaxed enough, those guys grabbed the coat and pulled him against the cage so he couldn't move. And once they did, they just started stabbing him through the cage. If they want to get you, they're going to get you. Yeah, Carrie Cushman, it is miserable, and he's got that coming. Linda Garden Lady, glad that you're here, and I'm glad you are here. Relatable Reese. That's the Wiffle Pop. That's her right over there. Love that picture, by the way. The number of you that said after the last show, man, I love that picture. It's more art than anything else. I happen to agree with you wholeheartedly. It is a beautiful photo. So after that, he's going to have the ability to go outside. By the way, if you want to go outside, right, in a lockdown unit, they're going to ask you if you want to go outside at 4:30 in the morning. I know that sounds stupid, right? Why would they do that at 4:30 in the morning? Because they don't want to bring you outside, right? It's less work for them if they don't have to bring you outside. Your brother was in Pennsylvania also, then we probably were at the same prison, right? He either had to be at Allenwood or he had to be at Victorville because he was in for bank robbery. I'm not Victorville, but Lewisburg. Those are the only 2 that he could have been at for bank robbery. The rest of them are not high enough custody level. I get hate for it from the women that want to bone Tommy. Well, there's probably a little of that. There's some hate. But yeah, we were probably in Pennsylvania at least in the same prison, not necessarily the same time. But they come at 4:00 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and they walk down the tier like this. Wreck, wreck, wreck. They go by the doors. You have to be standing at your door at 4:30 and go, yeah, I want to go to wreck. And they go, what's your register number? And you spit out your register number and they put it on the sheet. They do that because they know most guys aren't going to get up at 4:30, so they have to bring a lot fewer people out there. What those women don't get is that Tommy is a special criminal breed. I recommend researching that breed before getting one. That's right. You know, it's like those people that think, oh, it would be really cool to get a pit bull. And then they find out that they're a little bit more difficult to own than some other dogs. And you know, just research any breed you're going to adopt before you do it, especially if they happen to be an ex-convict. After he doesn't go to rec, he eats breakfast and he eats lunch. They're going to bring dinner right around 4:00, right? So dinner comes at 4. Now, from 4:00 until 4:30 or 5:00 the next morning, you're not eating anything. He isn't going to be buying food and keeping it in his cell. It's not like that. You're not really in. Yes, I've been known to call her my little buttercup. I have absolutely been known to call her that. There is no way you're going to be able to cook in there. He doesn't have access to a microwave oven. He doesn't have access to hot water. So even if he bought a soup, they'd be doing what they call prison popcorn, which is where you just smash the ramen soup, dump the packet inside, and eat it raw. Because there's no way to heat it in your cell without lighting something on fire. Some places will allow you to do that. Most will not. Well, yeah, if you're on a regular yard, this is a great question. Why do some people get fat in prison? If you're on a regular yard, Patty King, then you can eat all kinds of Zuzus and Wham Whams, right? You can eat all kinds of, and that means honey buns, nutty bars, like Twinkies, all of those things. And you can buy as many of them as you want, basically, and crush those all day without doing anything. They also eat 3 or 4 soups a day. That's 395 calories to a soup, and it's all starch. So those guys who are eating 3 and 4 of them a day, you end up putting on a lot of weight if you're not working out. And this is in a 23-in-1 unit, you're sedentary, but you can't buy all that stuff. He's starving. Make no mistake. He's hungry all the damn time. And he'll save his bread, right? If he's smart, he went on the vegetarian diet. And the reason I say that is they'll give you 2 4-ounce packs of peanut butter at every meal. So if you're in a lockdown unit, you're better off to go vegetarian because they're going to give you 8 ounces of peanut butter 3 times a day. And you can save that and eat it later on in the day so that you are spreading out your meals. If not, you're fasting for more than 12 hours every single day, whether you like it or not. You're also not drinking anything but water. That's it. You're drinking water, and you're drinking it off of a tap, and it is unbelievably bad water in the feds or in prison in general. There's never, ever tasty water. It's disgusting. And you're drinking it out of a sink that is made of steel, and it's been there for a really long time. I feel really bad for inmates stuck with his unintelligent self. Watching himself represent was hilarious. No question, Carrington. It honestly was hilarious, right? Obviously, Carrington saw this trial too. I found it the same way. I grooved to it. I watched almost the entire thing. And the outcome was etched in stone before it ever started. Normally, cases like that, I'm out. Right? I want to see what the dynamics is. But I was so damn impressed with this pregnant judge and just how professional this woman was. She knew that if she stomped on his rights in any way, right, then the appeal was going to tie this up in court. So people at the time, I don't know if you guys remember this, but at the time, there were people shitting all over her, saying, oh, she's giving him way too much leeway. Why does she allow him to talk the way he's doing? Blah, blah, blah. The same way that Rune Subramanian, the judge that handled the Diddy case. Diddy isn't going to have any shot whatsoever at appeal. He's just going to blow millions of dollars trying. Because if the judge does everything right, then there's no chance at appeal. I absolutely love your channel. So glad I found it. Go, Tommy. Thank you so much, Nana. What a sweet thing to say. The reason, and people seem to miss this, right? If you're a true crime person, you probably have already figured this out. But appeals, so you go, I didn't do it. I'm going to appeal this. They don't care if you did it. That's not what an appeal is. An appeal says this was done wrong, right? So my constitutional rights were violated. As an example, a good one, they say, the prosecution had evidence that was exculpatory, evidence that could have proved I didn't do this, and they didn't allow that to come into play. So you go, ooh, now you got a shot at getting another trial, but you're not appealing whether or not you did it. Oh, I know so much about this case. Yeah, I know you do, Will. Most true crime people know this case pretty well, man. Right? For real. Also, Tommy, 10 years of sobriety coming up from opiates, just letting you know, because so proud. 10 years. You know what? That's I'm on my 11th, coming into my 11th. 10 years off of opiates is winning, Carrington. That is winning. People, put a tray in the chat if you're proud of this man, because holy shit, I am. That is not an easy substance to kick. Erica, it's funny that you say that. Suitcase Sarah, I will be doing a show on Suitcase Sarah coming up because there's a lot of tapes that are coming out of her in jail. And if you thought you hated her before, you got to hear her having conversations with her ex-husband. Man, I'm going to do a show on Suitcase Sarah. And you may remember I did a show once and it had a picture of her in the thumbnail. And it said, this is the dumbest inmate in America. She had a chance to take a deal that they were going to give her. Instead of having first-degree premeditated murder, she could have taken a deal that would have given her 15. And that 15, she already had 5 in with time off and good behavior or whatever she'd have done like 7 years. She's just an absolute tool. She was so thick-headed that she has decided she would spend the rest of her life in prison because of it. Finally made a live in a while. Pamela, I am so glad you did. It's great to see you. And thank you so much for the support. Carrington says, thank you, brother. I kept it through little bro fit. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Thanks again for the support. I mean that. I kept it through little bro Fetty. Wow, man. Fentanyl isn't any joke. And I am so freaking glad that you got clean, because if you were using in the days of fentanyl, you're so lucky to be alive. I hope you do understand that, right? I don't know anybody left. I really don't. My friend Jack, his name's Josh. We call him Jack. Jack's it. Every other person I knew is dead. I'm not joking. 100 and change that all overdosed. Because when heroin went to fentanyl's different, man. It just started killing people like this. Even Narcan doesn't bring them back. You know, everybody I knew carried a thing of Narcan. You might need 12 of them to bring somebody back from fentanyl, or worse yet, nitazines, right? Iso and phytonitazines or nitazines. That's really the worst. She thinks she deserves parental rights. Are you kidding me? Isn't that crazy? Carrie Cushman said it almost killed me twice. Then congratulations to you too, Carrie. I love it when people beat that. Oh no, you lost somebody to a Xanny bar. I'm so sorry, man. I had an injury and the doctor prescribed me fentanyl patch over 15 years ago for me. Scared the crap out of me. I did not throw them away. I burnt them so no one else would get hurt by that drug. That's awesome. I love to hear that. Netta, I'm glad that you caught me live too. You know, I used to take those patches and I would cut them into 4 pieces and I would just chew them like gum. I watched 80% of the Brooks trial. I have family in Waukesha. What a piece of shit. Yeah, he really is. Absolutely a piece of shit. Doesn't get any worse. I'm not sure if I'm the one you're saying you love it, but I am pretty fond of you too. Surprised you didn't know that. That's why I'm hanging pictures of you up. By the way, that the reason that picture is up, somebody left a comment and said, "Why would you put that picture up?" And my response was, because all the other ones were really dirty. That was pretty much the only one I could put up. 18 years sober. Good Lord. That is winning. Yeah, that is winning. Just rinse and repeat, right? Same with Carrington. When you get to a point where you have done, even once you get past that 90 days to 180 days, just rinse and repeat. Whatever you did to get through that 90 days, you just have to continue to do the same thing over and over again, and you get better at it. And the other thing is that you never can take it for granted, right? My wife is beautiful, Erica. There's no question. I am blessed beyond belief. And today she looked so amazing. She sent, we did a little voice call because she was getting ready to go run some errands. And I was taking screenshots of her. She just looked amazing. Thank you again, Nana. Congrats, Carrington. I lost my son from a heroin overdose. He just couldn't beat it. I don't know you, but I am so proud. I love that. Dana, I'm so sorry that you lost your boy. Really, I am. No way. Twyla says 40 years, no blow. You can almost say one at that point. I know people say you never say that, you know, part of addiction is that you're never cured, right? I'm a heroin addict till the day I die, blah, blah, blah. And you never say that I'm never going to do this again, because really you only have to get through today. And the pressure of saying I'm never going to do it again is too much for some people. I'm never doing it again. I will never put a needle in my arm ever again. It's not going to happen. And I'm not effed up about saying that, man. But congratulations, 40 years is officially winning. Dana, I'm so sorry. I really am. My heart goes out to you. On the bright side, and I know this is going to come off bad to a lot of people, but I think Dana will get it. And unless you really loved a heroin addict, you won't get this. But there's a piece to that has got to make you feel good. Like my sister, I said this on the channel and people used to freak out about it. Now that I've said it so many times, more people get it. But I remember getting out of prison and my sister said, "Are you really done this time?" Because God, I just kept going back for all those years, right? 3 decades. And I said, "No, I'm really done. I'm never going to do this again." And she said, "I want you to know that my prayer for you is that if you ever stick a needle in your arm again, that the next one will kill you, because I can't watch you live that way." Right? And I get it. It made perfect sense to me. It would have been easier for her to know that I went to paradise, right, and that I wasn't suffering, than it would be to continue watching me self-destruct, right? This is a pretty great chat, Dana. It really is. Far better than the guy that runs it. Now, if the devil will step back on the cigarettes, worst ever. You know something? There's absolutely science to this. And heroin addicts are always saying, "Oh, they say it's more addicting than heroin. They don't know what they're talking about." The problem with tobacco, the problem with nicotine is that the delivery system, smoking it into your lungs, hits you so fast. Like to those people that were addicted to heroin, right? My friend Carrington, if you ever smoked it versus shooting it, when you smoke it, believe it or not, it hits you faster, right? Nothing is a faster delivery system into the bloodstream than is breathing it into your lungs. And people go, oh, the needle's got to be quicker. It's not, because you're putting this much into the bloodstream. It's going around. When you smoke it, it's putting that into every single bit of the, of the blood. And it's such a fast delivery system, and nicotine doubles your dopamine. So if your dopamine level hypothetically is a 2, one hit off of nicotine and it instantly becomes a 4. That's an antidepressant every single time you go like this, right? Now, it's 2025. So if you can't quit, Twyla, at least stop breathing stuff into your lungs that have been lit on fire, right? Because lighting it on fire is really bad. Yep, that's what sent me to rehab. Second time relapsing within 15 days. Then needle. First time, told myself I'd never. Yeah. When I did feel like crap, I went to rehab for the next day. Thank Jesus. Yep, that's who did it for me too. Cigarettes are really hard to stop. Nicotine is such a vicious drug if you're trying to quit. However, if you're really trying to, talk to a doctor. Bupropion in a smaller amount is super effective helping people quit. That's the same active ingredient as Wellbutrin. It is sometimes marketed in the United States under the name Zyban, but it is a smaller amount and it's specifically used to help people quit. My mother said years ago when she was dying from drinking, she would smoke again that second if they said it wouldn't hurt you. Yeah, I think that most people kind of believe that way. Yeah, boofing it will kill you too. It doesn't matter how you do it, honestly. It doesn't matter how you do it, it can kill you. And here's the crazy thing, right? This is absolutely worth talking about. A very famous case in the state of Nevada was Ted Binion. Ted Binion owned Binion's Horseshoe Casino, where the original World Series of Poker was held. He was murdered by Sandra Murphy and Rick Tabish, right? Sandra Murphy was a stripper that started hanging out with this guy. She had a boyfriend named Rick Tabish. Allegedly, they shoved heroin through a funnel down his throat, right? And he had been on heroin for years. So they figured they would be able to beat the autopsy because everybody knew the guy did heroin, but he smoked it. And he had been smoking it for a really long time. And they brought in an expert that said, you're not going to overdose smoking heroin. And you're not. But you can overdose smoking fentanyl like this, right? Nitazene, same way. The opiates that are on the market today are so much stronger and nastier. We really all need to be thankful that Carrington is still with us. I say I'm in remission. I have the disease of alcohol and drugs. Addiction is, Xanny bars. Us in recovery, remission are beyond strong. No wimps here on this boat. Thank you for sharing. Jody Wards, tell you what, man, the bars are really rugged. They really are, man. For those that don't know, Xannies come in much smaller doses that look like footballs. But when you start getting up into the milligrams instead of quarter milligrams, half milligrams, the milligrams all the way up to 5 milligrams, those are bars, and the bars are ugly. So, thank you, Tommy. I absolutely understand what you're saying. It's been 15 years, but I still visit his grave 2 or 3 times a week, and I always play I Hope You're Dancing in the Sky. Oh, wow, man. Oh, that's heart-wrenching. It's beautiful, but it's heart-wrenching. It really is. And he is. Make no mistake. Sadly, I relate. I have the beginning of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease at age 32 from the crud I put in my body. And I thank everyone here for being here and the family. We will get through this. Absolutely, we will. Right? Absolutely, we will. I promise you. That's the beautiful thing about communities like this. Nobody judges anybody. We all come here. We can disagree on tons of shit, right? But we all agree on the important stuff. Politics isn't the important stuff. It really isn't. You know, who you voted for. But all of us trying to survive and realizing that once we go down that road of addiction, that it does take a miracle to stay sober. Good thing is those miracles are a dime a dozen, right? I see them every day. But it takes a miracle. And the more people you surround yourself with that are positive, that have actually been there and done that, the better a chance you have of surviving. And that's not me talking. That's everybody that's ever studied this disease. They will tell you that the opposite of addiction is connection. Wow. I am going to do suitcase Sarah. You have my word. Used to do 2 or 3 bars daily, weaned off. I do take 2 1 milligram Xanax and follow the prescription. Horrible panic disorder and anxiety. If you can follow the prescription on the side of the bottle, then we don't have anything to talk about. For real. And that's with painkillers. That's with benzodiazepines. If you're taking it as prescribed and you're not running out after 10 days and going to the street to buy more, then I don't much care about any of the ever be a case. So back to Darrell Brooks, because we're all going to feel a little better about this. So Darrell Brooks now has to spend the rest of his life with no hope of ever getting out. That means that every single day is exactly like the day before. Bernsey, good to see you. Every day is literally the same as the day before. Whine a little bit more. What's happening? It's never going to get better. Do you understand? Every day is identical. This guy lives Groundhog Day. And the only thing that changes, right? You're right. Klonopin or clonazepam, the worst. Really, really strong. We don't really market a benzo that's stronger than that in the United States unless you're buying bootleg stuff like the xylazine, rohypnol, right? Fluindapazepam, that was considerably stronger. One of the best things about this channel is that we can agree to disagree. That's exactly right. And it's healthy. It really is. We agree on the important shit. That's the only thing that matters. So now, what is he looking forward to? He's looking forward to healthcare that's not great, right? They don't have a serious vested interest in taking care of lifers. They're going to cost him a lot of money. They're not notoriously great, especially in the state. In the feds, they'll try to keep you alive till 90 because they want to get more time out of you. In the state, pretty much across the board, chronic care, which is what people who are doing life in prison, what they need is woeful, right? I also thank you for educating me about all of the drugs out there today. I have a 17-year-old grandson, and you've made it easy for me to educate him. Well, it is essential. There is nothing safe out there anymore, man. There just isn't. I don't think he'll make it in the pen either, but he's in a lockdown unit. So all he's really got to worry about is going insane. They're not going to give this guy a cellmate. And the reason they're not going to give him a cellmate is because it doesn't matter who they put with him, the person's going to want to kill them if for no other reason than clout. Not only did he kill children, right? He ran over a boy in his baseball uniform. But on top of that, he has not 1, but 2 sex cases. He is a lifelong registered sex offender, and that doesn't fly in prison. Don't the inmates help with delivering the food? Yeah, they do. Now, they have gone out of their way, right? They have gone out of their way to try to keep it so that people, whine a little bit more, says just outside of the same part of town where this took place. I'm glad you're here, whine a little bit more. They've really tried to make it so that the fellas can't kill or poison food. And the way they do that, Laura Lou, glad you're here. The way they do that is you don't know which floor they're going to feed first. So let's say that you're going to the 23-in-1 unit and all the freaks are on the first floor. You can't stack the trays to get them because they might feed the 3rd floor first, 2nd floor second. They screw with the order to make sure that the inmates can't put glass in the child molester's food. However, there are always ways around it. And if you're a child molester in prison, I'd be very careful with what I ate. I mean, more than likely it's not going to kill you, but it's probably got feces and other stuff that you just don't want to eat in it because it is considered just the most horrific. Hi, Heather. It's just considered the most horrific crime out there, and there's no sense of humor whatsoever for it. I mean, zero. Do me a favor, everybody. Brock Bandy says, 55 out of 122 here have hit the like button. Please take a second to see if you've hit the like button and subscribe. Please do. I absolutely live for it. I'm not kidding. I would love to. I'd love to get back above 25,100. Lost about 30 or 40 people yesterday by being, I guess, just a little bit too honest. Carrington says, no children, no women. It's code, right? Correct. You don't hurt women. You don't hurt children. You don't do sex crimes. And you don't hurt old people. And you don't hurt animals. The bottom line is this. If the fellas think you're picking on something because it isn't as tough as you, they're going to kill you. Plain and simple. So someone that molests kids, they do that because they don't think the kid can defend themselves. Somebody that rapes a woman doesn't think the woman can fight, that big tough guy that decided to rape her. If you take advantage of elderly people or if you hurt animals, it's all treated really, really bad. But the foulest of all are sex crimes. And sex crimes against kids are the worst. And he has 2 sex crimes against kids, right? Not really. Yeah, they get salty as shit about it, Raspberry Beret. They get salty. No sense of humor whatsoever. I smoked weed for 30 years. I gave it up totally 2 years ago. My mantra is intention is key to the outcome. That's literally a great mantra. And I'll tell you something. While I don't really have a real problem with people that use weed as a way to get off of other drugs, I don't care. If you're trading cocaine for weed, that's a great trade. All the people that go, well, they just traded one drug for another. If it's a good trade, then that's harm reduction, and I don't care, right? I know a guy that smokes weed every day, and he used to smoke between an 8-ball to a quarter ounce of crack rock a day. Now he smokes weed. He won the lottery. I'm not going to bust this guy's balls, and I'm not going to let anyone else do it either. That said, if I smoke it, you're not going to see me put on 2 shows a day. You'll be lucky if I do 1 show a day because I get lazy as hell on weed. Great question. Child offenses should result in the wood chipper. I agree with that, Carrington. My friend J.D. DeLay, I think, has summed it up, right? Make pedophiles frightened again. They should go in wood chippers. Feet first, if you ask me. Tell me how other inmates know what you're in for. Well, there's a couple of ways. Number one, when you go in, they're going to say, let me see your paperwork. This is standard operating procedure in any prison. So what that means is you have to hand them over what your rap sheet is. You're going to have to hand. Now, that's only going to tell you the crime that you're in on. But if you know how to read it, there's going to be a page on there that says terms of release, if by some chance you're going to be released. And on there, it will say, do you have to register as a sex offender? So if you've ever been busted for that in the past, it's going to show up on your paperwork. That's one way. The other way is that let's say you get to a yard that doesn't allow paperwork to be shown. It's pretty rare, but let's say you get to one of those. Then the fellas are going to get your register number. Then they're going to call a friend of theirs from the street, and they're going to go, hey, do me a favor, can you? Run this person's name through Pacer or run this person's name through the database. There are 50 databases out there that you can run somebody through, and it's going to pull up all of their crimes. If they ever filed an appeal, you got to listen to this one because it's a good one. If they ever filed an appeal, then you can just go down to the computer, pump in that person's information, and it's going to pull up their whole record. So most of the guys doing life have filed an appeal, which means they're on the Nexus Lexus and they're on the Westlaw computers, right? There's no getting around that. So it's not difficult to find out. Wow, I've never heard of anything like that. That's disgusting. Washington State apparently allows people off the registry after 10 years. Yeah, I've never heard of that in any other state. Most people, once you're on. Now, if you're a tier 1 offender, like you got caught taking a leak in public, maybe after 10 years, they can take that person off. I mean, there are people that register as sex offenders that are just plain stupid. When I was in prison, there was a kid that came in and he got caught taking a piss in public behind a dumpster, and he had to register as a sex offender. And the fellas were understanding of this, but he's still on pins and needles waiting for the paperwork to get there and waiting to see if the shot caller is going to say, kill him anyway, right? It had to be pretty stressful for him. But yeah, I've never heard of anybody else, any other state doing that. That's disturbing. This man has zero hope. And the only thing that keeps you alive in prison when you're doing life is hope, right? You also find people that say, this is my life. This is where I'm stuck. And for that reason, I'm going to have to try to flower wherever I'm planted. And there are people like you that say, I may not be able to get out today, but I'm going to influence all kinds of people who can get out today, right? It sounds like the sentences are longer in the USA. The UK is a nightmare for getting long sentences for child sex abuse. The political establishment was under scrutiny for some, no question, Christy Collins, no question. The nonce population in Great Britain are not punished the same way as they are in the United States. But the U.S. has sucked about this for a long time. They're just now starting to really stretch them out. Florida has, in my opinion, that has the most sex offenders, and they live in the best neighborhoods. They say if you're going to buy a house on the sheriff online database, and you can look up sex offenders anywhere on databases. That's all over the U.S. now. How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl. How sad is it that that's now on the oldies station? Holy hell. I went to sleep one day young and I woke up and my music was on the oldies station. I may have just been wasted for so long, but damn. No, this is not going to be the same kind of dishonorable crime. It's a great question. And I'm going to do a purely prison show, not tonight, but tomorrow night. I think I'm doing a show purely on prison. So you should have an opportunity there. Larry should be Sarah's bunkie. Honestly, Nick Reiner's got a whole host of other shit that he's going to have to deal with. But no, it's not the same thing. It's not like a sex offender. It's not. Murderers, for the most part, here's the way to think about it. And this is oversimplification, but it makes it easier for people that have never been to prison. If you can sit there and think to yourself, could I snap and do this? Could I snap and kill somebody? Yeah, I probably could. I mean, not today, but when I was in the life, there were people that I punched, and if I had hit them 3 or 4 more times, they could have ended up dead. Most inmates have had to do some violence in their time, and they can understand the concept of snapping and killing somebody, right? You could understand robbing somebody. You could understand it. I'm not saying that you think it's okay, but you can understand why someone does it. Now, put that to the same test. Well, I really wanted to have sex with this girl. She said no, so I just decided to take it. The guys in there are going, no, I don't see that. Or I somehow found a 7-year-old attractive. Nope, don't see it. If they go, nope, I don't see it, then you're in a shitload of trouble. I mean, that's how it basically, again, it's oversimplified, but you and JD DeLay should do a screen together. I would love that. I really would. But he's a busy guy, and he's huge, man. He's a powerhouse. But he's always been very, very nice to me. He's been to the Lifeboat. He's come in here before, put up some super chats. We're very similar in that we don't want our lives to be defined by the fact that we've been in prison. We're doing everything we can to try to leave the earth a better place than we found it. And I think that that's something we have in common. I cannot wait for the Reiner and the Tepe murder trials. I'm with you on that. I think you're going to be waiting for the Reiner one a hell of a lot longer than we're going to be waiting for Tepe. By the way, I got a Tepe show coming up too, because that's a disturbing ass case. Maybe I got a Nick Reiner show too. Here's the thing. I need to do 3 shows a day. I got so many things backed up. Why did they kill Dahmer? Because Dahmer was victimizing a race that wasn't his, right? All of the people that Dahmer killed were brown-skinned. And there are a lot of people, when you kill outside your race, you just look like a racist piece of shit. He also was, right? These were rape charges. Be having sex with him. In fact, the famous case of the kid that escaped and went outside, that was a minor. The cops brought him back into Dahmer's house, and then Dahmer killed him. So his jacket was foul. There was nothing honorable about Dahmer's murders. They were sex-related murders. Child abusers cannot be rehabilitated and shouldn't be treated as if they can. This is why they shouldn't be released from prison. The damage to victims is lifelong trauma. It's attempted murder of the soul. It really is. You can play Wish You Were Here on the guitar, so can Johnny Scoville. I love that. Yeah, they got Dahmer all right. Big time. Look at the dog with the bunny ears on. That's awesome. That Wish You Were Here was my song tone years ago. No way. Instead of hearing a phone ring. That's awesome. Wish You Were Here is a great song. Honestly, I probably, back in the day, Comfortably Numb was a Pink Floyd song that I liked more than Wish You Were Here, but both of them were great. But Comfortably Numb, it's just a little pinprick. I mean, that was like a heroin anthem. A lot of junkies really got down to Comfortably Numb. How can I explain? You would not understand. This is not who I am. I've become comfortably numb. It was such a heroin tune. Really, really. Of course, I remember saying to a guy once when I was still in the life, I said, "What's your favorite song about heroin?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "What's your favorite song written about heroin?" And he said to me, "They're all written about heroin." No shit. That was his response. He's like, "They're all written about heroin." No way. I won my rights to my daughter. She is excelling me, a mom, co-parent, amazing now. I love life. You know what? I've always said, you get sober, it's like playing a country music song backwards, right? You get back your life, you get back your car, you get back your relationships. I lost my daughter because of heroin, and I got her back when I got sober, and it was life-changing. Anne-Marie says, love the original Pink Floyd. Anne-Marie from Canada. Anne-Marie, I saw Pink Floyd 13 or 14 times, and almost all of those, I think with 3 or 4 exceptions, most of those were in Canada. Used to see a lot of concerts at the Big O, Olympic Stadium in Montreal, which looks a lot like the SS Enterprise, in my opinion. Hey, Tommy, I was wondering how cop unalivers or attackers fare in prison. You know what's crazy? I'm one of those channels that doesn't give a shit. So what we'll do is we'll and I know you're trying to be kind to keep my my channel monetized, but it's never going to happen anyway because I say everything that I'm not supposed to. So we'll do this one. Hey, Tommy, I'm wondering how cop killers, right, and murderers fare in prison around other inmates. Is that an honorable crime, or do they feel some type of way about it? I punched a cop in the face, which is what sent me to the the special housing unit, the SMU, right? The special management unit. And I was a rock star for that, right? Anybody that swings on a cop, attacks a cop, no, they love cop killers. The cops don't, right? The cops will treat you like shit. I saw a guy, it's a true story. Guy takes his shirt off. He had just gotten to Phoenix, and it said big as hell across his chest, "The only good cop is a dead cop." And he was on the weight pile, and the warden happened to be walking out there. He's a good dude, actually. The warden was a nice guy. But he went walking out there and went, "You, come here." And he goes, "What's up?" And he goes, "I'm not going to have you here with that on my chest." And he goes, "Well, I'll put my shirt back on." He goes, "Oh, no, I don't care about that. You're gone." He's like, "I'm not having you on this yard. You got to be really careful with some of the tattoos." I'm 3 years older than you, Tommy. And yes, it's depressing that our music is on oldie stations. It is, isn't it? What the hell happened? What do I think about Nicki Minaj? Call out Rock Nation and Jay-Z. I'll be honest with you. I don't know anything about Nicki Minaj. I know that she's in the headlines and I know why, but I don't understand the music. I really don't. It's so foul to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a dirty dude. I'm a freak as much as the next guy, but my neck, my back, my pee and my crack, right? My kitty and my crack. Who sings a song like that? Like, this is the foulest shit I've ever heard in my life. She just, to me, is just, I'm all for a dirty girl, but for the love of God, maybe in private. You know what I mean? Like, I think Nicki Minaj is just a foul human being. If in fact she's turning her life around and going in different directions, I think that's great. But I think I'll hold off and wait to see if that happens. Southern Cross, we need a show on truly good tunes. My son did Kick 70. No way. 70H last week, and we decided that, Tommy, you are our antidepressant. We appreciate you so much. 70H ain't easy to kick. Congratulations, for real. Tell your boy I said, well friggin' done. That's difficult stuff, man. Yeah, I know. David Gilmour said this. In fact, he said it in probably 10 different interviews, and there's no way in hell he's telling the truth. There's just no way. If it's not about heroin, it should have been. You know what I'm saying? It absolutely should have been. I did get to see Pink Floyd that many times in the country. I did. Yeah, Hard Rock Forever. There you go, Pamela. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like if you have to sing songs about your vagina, right? In order to be popular, I don't think that you're doing well. And my wife has a relative who uses Southern Cross for almost everything that like they have a business and they've got all of these different properties and whatever. And Southern Cross is on all of them. I love the song Southern Cross. One of my favorites. Tommy, you are right about child abusers robbing the soul. A case I was involved in was traumatic. It not only affects the victim, but their unborn children of the future and the family and friends. I was messed up for decades from abuse when I was younger. Cliff Ann, you are 70. You are a 70s baby. Yeah, I am too. I'm holding 3 guitar picks in my profile picture that Mark Slaughter from Slaughter gave me in a concert. No way. How cool is that? 7-OH is it works on the MU receptors, right? It's like heroin that you can get at a grocery store. I mean, at a gas station or at a, what do you call it? At a head shop. It's just like, most people call it gas station heroin, but it's the same thing. Cliff Ann, I'm a big fan of yours, and I know that you're a fan of my channel. It bums me out a little bit that you're a fan of some people that really hate me. And it's not like the person last night, because you've never said anything bad about me or anything else, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not busting your balls. I just don't get it. And someone said last night in Reese's chat, they were talking about an individual that trashes me and Reese on a regular basis. And the person said, well, when he's trashing you, I don't listen to him. Imagine putting that to the real world. If I said, I'm having a Christmas party and I'm inviting this guy over because when he's not calling you a lousy piece of shit, he's actually a lot of fun to hang out with. It just, I don't know, it tears me up. But I do love you, and that's why I'm not blocking you or anything else. But I got a new guy on the channel who is a absolute wizard with computers, and he's just tracking down every person that ever hangs out at places that trash me on a daily basis. And it's a bit of a bummer. I just ate half of one, not happy about it. Well, that's all right, Tara Jackson. We're not mad at you. I was born in the 70s. Nixon was president. Why would anyone want to trash you and your wife? Well, you know what? Here's the thing. And I'm not being arrogant. But I have 25,000 subscribers, and most of the people that try to do what I do, content creators, and whether I'm a good guy, a bad guy, whatever, I can talk for an hour and not say I am a damn good communicator, and it's a jealousy thing. I'm sorry, but it is. 70s babies rock, but I'm from 67. The air's still a 70s baby. Doesn't matter when you were born. You grew up listening to songs like your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll. There's a light in your eye, and then a guy says, out of the car, long hair, Louise. You coming with me? You know what? We do shows that end up talking about rock and roll and talking about old great songs. Happens all of the time. So we will continue to do that. I can't not say like to save my life. You mean like you say it like all the time, like that kind of thing? Like, oh, Patty King, you know what? You're going to hate me. I love disco. I couldn't admit that until just recently, but I love disco. I'm sorry. 7-OH is nut, man's kids are buying shit like candy. Without a sliver of knowledge about what's going into their bodies. It's a tragic situation surrounding a chemical that could genuinely help people. Well, most chemicals can genuinely help people. For real. Opiates are the greatest thing that ever happened to humanity. Without it, there wouldn't be surgery. Without it, there wouldn't be the ability to treat people who are in pain, right? Opiates are fantastic. But if you don't take them correctly, and there's a certain percentage of the population that will never be able to take it correctly. Wow, that's a kind thing to say. But if you think I'm good at that, you really need to catch my my wife. I can pivot, but damn, can she pivot? You're a good orator, a rare skill. Any tips for those that aren't? Absolutely. Absolutely. I have the greatest. There are two things that will make you a good orator, right? One is practicing. Talk to people, right? Talk constantly. Record yourself talking if you're too uncomfortable talking in front of other people. The other thing is read your ass off, right? This is something that I did in prison that changed my life. Read. And I read a book a day. But if I came to a word, I used to come to a word that I didn't understand, right? And I would just skip it and keep going. It's kratom, but I think that is a lie, actually. Look, it starts as kratom, but 7-OH is such the strongest version of the extract of kratom that it's like saying beer and grain alcohol are the same thing. Well, they're both alcohol, right? They're not the same thing. 7-OH isn't the same thing, but it's the active ingredient in kratom. But it is pulled out and extracted and pulled away, and it is way stronger than you're ever supposed to be able to get it if you were taking it as the plant. And kratom absolutely helps some people. However, it most assuredly attaches to the mu or the mu receptor. So does heroin, so does OxyContin, right? So does hydrocodone. Anything that attaches to the mu receptor has the ability to make you an addict. So I would hit a word, not know that word, and just skip over it, right? I don't do that anymore. Now I take the time to research every single word, and I would look up words that I didn't know the definition to. And that is what will help you build your your vocabulary quicker than anything else. Sorry, I was looking at some pictures. I started taking Vicodin, hydrocodone, about 20 years ago, not for a real reason. Now I have to take it because of the pain I have, but I follow your prescription. If you're following your prescription, then you don't have a drug problem. You're absolutely right. This is like codependence, right? This is a real thing. Leaving a narcissistic abusive relationship is really difficult as well. A very addictive dynamic, right? 2 months, no contact. Can we put a tray up for that as well? Because that is absolutely an addiction, whether people realize it or not. You know, people always say, why would they hang out with that person? Because it is addicting, right? I'm sorry, it is. It's just how it goes, right? Cliff Ann, thank you. That's a beautiful thing to say. Anne Marie says, I get addiction. Boy, I do too. It seems addicts often quit one substance and substitute another. Watch for that. Yeah, again, unless it's a great trade, right? If you were smoking 7 grams of crack a day and now you smoke a little bit of weed, that's a good trade. Is it the best case scenario? No. The best case scenario is quitting, having it out of your system completely. But if you can't, then harm reduction's an ass kicker, right? If that's all you can hope for, then that sure as hell beats, I tell the story on here all the time, but we have a guy on the boat. I won't out him, but he used to drink a 5th of bourbon a day or vodka, whatever was cheaper and on sale. But that's 32 shots a day. And he said to me when we were talking one-on-one, he said, I'm never going to be able to quit that. And I said, because I couldn't think of anything else to say, could you cut down to 28? Could you get 4 shots taken away? And he goes, maybe. Packer girl, good to see you. So '60s, baby? Yeah, that works. Are you laughing at there's a light in your eye and then a guy says, out of the car, long hair, Louise, coming with me. And no more Maurice. I do like that song. So the guy says to me, yeah, I might be able to take 4 shots off. And he did. He got down to 28 shots instead of 32. And then he got down to 26. And then it kept going down. And now he drinks, it's either 1 pint or 2 pints of beer a day. Like, I'm not giving that dude shit. What, are you kidding me? He's killing it, right? He's killing it. I got addicted to Darrell years ago in a hospital. Began how I was in child those days. They didn't get it. Demerol, boy, they hardly ever write prescriptions for Demerol anymore. But I used to really be into Demerol. Ashley G says, I like that song. I do too. That would be Loggins and Messina. I thought Kratom was for bodybuilders. There are bodybuilders that take it, but it is not specifically for bodybuilders. A lot of bodybuilders like to take things that cut down on pain, right? This is the only point I was making, is that the people that cause that pain, Cliffan, don't let those people into your life. For real. You got to be careful, because I promise you, they're sick people. They really are. They're sick people. And it's a bit sad. Yes, my husband was a child counselor in the Navy. It was either you got through, oh, you meant a drug counselor. Yeah, get through it or get a dishonorable discharge. Demerol is a bad drug. I'm an RN. It's bad. Yeah, and it's bizarre. Here's the thing about Demerol that used to freak me out. Putting Demerol in the fat of your body, you get wasted. Putting Demerol into the vein, and you don't. That's fascinating to me. But Demerol was definitely a bad drug. Demerol was great after surgery. I was bummed when they switched to morphine. Yeah, it's super friggin' addictive. But anything that attaches to the mu receptor is wicked friggin' addictive, right? This is why 7-OH, this is why Kratom, when people say to me, oh, Kratom's not bad, I don't bust anyone's balls. It's not my get down. However, make no mistake, it is going to get you addicted. Love is definitely an addiction that I enjoy. As well you should. As well you should. I am most assuredly addicted to love, and I don't think that's a bad thing. All right, people. I'm gonna call it a day. The reason is I'm running out of battery, but more importantly, I got to get ready for my next show, because I got another one coming up. I want to thank everybody. Do me a favor, hit that bell for notification. Hit subscribe. I need it. I run a lot of people off with my mouth. You got to hit subscribe for me. And do me a favor and hit that thumbs up on the way out. Does it really help? It lets me show you that the algorithm is ignoring us. And that's a good thing. It really is. Having the ability to show people that, you know what, we're killing it and they're not pushing us out. It proves that when you start taking the words that they don't want you to say and saying them again, they're going to penalize you. But I don't give a shit. The truth is the truth. And how disrespectful is it to every man and woman that has ever been sexually assaulted to say smexual assault, right? Or how disrespectful to a woman that's been raped to call it getting graped. Doesn't sound all that nasty, does it? Rape is nasty. And we should use the real words, man. Talk hard. Yeah. You know what? I love that, and I'm going to use it. Down life's lonesome road. Talk hard. All right, people. I'm Tommy. Between now and the next time I see you, do me a favor. Get over there and hit a subscribe on the Johnny Scoville over there at Chase the Heat South America. And definitely go and check out my significant other at Relatable Reese. You'll thank me later. I am Tommy. I will see you on the next one. God bless and thank you for being you. Love you guys. See you later.